Today we're gonna work the exercises from page 121, and I'm gonna go walk you through some of the exercises to help you to study. So the first one, exercise that we're gonna work are in the first bullet point. Here they're asking me to find the distance between these points using the distance formula. So actually here the question is simple and they're telling us what to do, what to use. I read again and it says using the distance formula. So what I need to know is what is the distance formula. We know that if we forgot the formula, we can get it from the Pythagorean theorem with the triangle. Okay, so the distance is d, represented by the letter d, equal to the root square, and here where we need to remember that we put the x first, okay, and the second point is the one that we write first, minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1, and this is square. So one of the biggest mistake is that you forget the square. You need to remember this is coming from the distance of the hypotenuse, the length of the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. That's why you have to square. Those represent the adjacent side of the triangle. The first question gives us 2 points, the point O and the point P. The point O and the point P. I'm going to just represent like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a representation. So if I have 2 points, O and P, I can make a line between those 2 points. That line has a distance, and that's what we're going to try to find out. If we're going to use the formula of distance, it's important that we understand that what do we need? We need to find the coordinates of each point. Okay, so the problem gives us already. So the first coordinate, the point O, is 0, 0, and the coordinate of the point P is 3 and -1. Once you have identified the points, the only thing that you have to decide is which one is going to be my point number 1 and my point number 2. In this case, and you will learn by doing more exercises, you always want to have your point number 2 to be the one that has the greatest x. Okay, so we're going to use that as a reference. So for example, between those two x, 0 and 3, the biggest is 3, so I decide this is going to be my point 2 and this is going to be my point 1. Why do I assign it this way? Simple. Now let's write x2, y2. These are the coordinates from the point P, and for the point O we're going to have x1 and y1. So now you understand why I choose to be P the point number 2. If you see, now that I identified the coordinate, I just have to replace it in the formula. So let's do it. D, okay, this here is D, equal, just writing exactly the same formula, but instead of x2, because now I know which of the point is x2, I just replace it. So 3 minus, and x1 is 0. So now you understand, and by doing that, at least I'm trying to make sure that we have less negative numbers. And I have to square, like the formula called, plus my y2 is here, -1 in this case, and 0. There you go. Now we just have to simplify my equation. As we know, this is gonna become 3 squared and minus 1. I'm squaring the whole negative number, okay, so I make sure to not forget the bracket, okay, because if I forget the bracket, what I'm gonna do is making the mistake, instead of adding the squares, I will be subtracting the square, and that will give me a wrong answer. So again, we continue with the formula, and we have that d right now is going to be the square root of 3 squared is 9, and the square of any negative number is positive, so it's going to, and the square of 1 is always 1, so 1 plus 1, there you go. So we can say that this thing is going to be equal to the root square of 10. So now here's an important steps, is that you need to decide if is this the simplest form of a radical, and then you start to play with the numbers. So the factors of 10, you start with a prime number, 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and that's it. So I can leave it in this form. That's the simplest form of the radical. Now I'm gonna go with another example. I'm gonna do the example H that has a lot of negatives. So the example H is giving us 2 points. The points are M, that has which coordinated? -2 and 5. And then we have the point N, that is -4 and -1. And if you see in this form, completely different than the one we just did, I put it in this way because I'm gonna make columns where I know where are my x and where are my y's right away. So I know that I would like to have, if possible, positive numbers. So here we're gonna have 2 negatives, and I will recommend you that the formula says that x2 minus x1, that will be square. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I really like to have always a positive number, so for that case I'm gonna choose that m is my point 2 and n is my point number 1. So don't forget, I'm gonna write the 2 here and a 1. So if you see, you have x2, y2, x1, y1. That are the way that can help you to make it easier for you. So we go back to the formula. So we know the distance between 2 points is the square root of, we start with the x, 2 minus x1, we square that, plus y2 minus y1, I squared again. Very good. Now, simple. I just have to put in the formula the values that I'm looking. So far, I know that x2, if you see those are my x's. Which number 2? This one. So it's gonna be -2 minus, and here I need to be careful with the signs. I'm looking for x1, that is -4. So this minus is not the negative from -4. So I need to make sure that I put a bracket, -4. Okay? And all that, and here I'm going to make a difference between brackets by making a square bracket. All that has to be square. We continue. same step here. My y2 is 5, okay, minus what is my y1. If you see here, y1 is negative. Again, same steps. There you go. And all that has to be squared. And after I'm done, it's when I close my square root. There you go. So now I look very clean. And now, easy step, just simplify. So let's make sure that I don't do any mistake. Negative 2, what will happen with the sign here, they become positive. So it's negative 2. I'm going to write all the steps for you. Plus 4 and 5 plus 1. Okay? So now I'm ready. The distance is going to be equal to the root square of what do I have? Negative 2 plus 4, that is a positive 2. All that is square. I don't forget the addition sign here. Plus 5 plus 1, that's 6. All that is inside is equal to 6. And that has to be square. 6 square. There you go. And I can close my bracket here. Okay. Up. There you go. Now, easy, 2 square, that is equal to 4 plus 6 square, 36, all that square, and this is my distance. I continue. Now I can say this is equal to the root square of 40. Now, I question myself, is this the simplest form of the radical? So I start with my prime numbers again. 2 times 20, 3 times, no, 4 times 10. 4 times 10. Very good. You already know that 10 is a number that cannot be simplified. So 4 times 10. So if you remember, when we study radicals, when I have a product inside a radical, I can write this as a product of two radicals. So it's going to be 4 times 10, both inside a radical. And what is the square root of 4? That is 2, and times the radical 10. And this will be the answer. Okay? So make sure that you follow all the steps. You don't mess with the signs. And this is very easy.